Here we are, we're going to do some stuff with this old beater and this old beater. We're going to take this in the mountains. I'm going to do some landscape photoing with this. I'm also going to do some birds in flight. We'll do some slow shutter stuff and some beasts. Yeah, birds, beasts, and some mountains, landscape. See if this thing can handle it. It's a 20-year-old camera, and I got a crusty old lens here too. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Today we're going to use the Autofocus S. This is a 300mm Nikon lens, and we got this old beater here. This is a little cheesy thing I picked up, and that's all the tools we're going to use, and of course this old stinky camera. Here it is, guys, a Nikon D2H. This thing was out in 2003, so it's 20 years old. So the really cool thing about this, I picked this up for 80 bucks. This thing was 5 or 6 grand back in the day when it came out. So this is a D2H. After this model, they came out with the D2HS and, you know, upgrades every 18 months. The model before this, I had it, and it was a D1H. And it was 2.7 megapixels, which is crazy tiny, little tiny files. What it taught me was, which was awesome, I think, I didn't have any cropping power, which means I didn't have a 20 megapixel file, and my subject was this little speck here, or 10% of the frame, and I could crop in and get what I needed. I couldn't do that with 2.7 megapixels, there's no way. So I would have to fill my frame, my viewfinder, with the subject. It had to be pretty much composed, it had to be full of meat. No cropping again with 2.7 megapixels. It was tiny. This guy's not much better. This is a 4.1 megapixel, so really tiny. You're not cropping in, and you know, if you're shooting a wild horse or something and it's way back there, you're not cropping in to get the shot. You better be in the subject's face. Back in the day, this was the camera to get if you were a pro sports photographer. You would use this for all the basketball, football, hockey games. Well, no matter how you slice it, 80 bucks was awesome, an awesome deal. I think they go for 300-400 bucks or so, but still, that's crazy considering this thing was, you know, 5-6 grand 20 years ago. Another cool thing about it is, of course, it's still running, and it's 20 years old. That's insane. This thing's still kicking around. I think it's got about 200,000 shutter actuations, you know, clicks. And it's probably been kicked around by who knows how many people. I first texted the guy, said, you know, check it out, make sure it works. I can't, you know, 80 bucks, what's going on with this thing? He got back to me a couple days later, said, no, it's good, it's all good, no issues. So I went and picked it up. I don't have any metering, you know, auto-focusing Nikon lenses. I have a lens, a Nikon lens from the 70s that I've been using on this, which is kind of cool. So I couldn't really tell. You know, it turns on and off, it clicks, it makes noise. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't meter. So it's in manual exposure mode, and that's what I'm used to. That's all I shoot in 90% of the time. That works, that's no problem, because it's manual. I'm doing everything. I'm changing the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. So that works, no problem. Any auto modes, aperture priority, shutter priority, or program auto, none of them work where you kind of point and shoot. This is what it's doing. So in aperture priority mode, I'm pointing at the snow, and it's giving me a shutter speed of 8. It doesn't move, it doesn't work. No adjustment at all. It doesn't change the shutter speed. So that sensor, or the meter, is toast. So that was a bit of an issue, and I said to myself, should I go back and slap this guy around? But really, you know what? For 80 bucks, what are you going to say? This thing's awesome. Got some bedded deer here. I think they're whitetail, and I've got a couple shots with this guy, and I'm going to try the old Takina manual focus lens for that Nikon. Actually, I said it was from the 70s, but I think it's from the 80s. And there's my special carrying case. Here's some chickadees, guys. Might as well get a few photos. What's pretty awesome about this old stinky lens is I paid 35 bucks for it. And it's macro, so I can get really close. It's nice to have a variable lens. This is 35 to 200, which means it's about 50 to 300 on this crop sensor. So when they get close, you can, you know, shoot wide. These guys don't care whatsoever. Out of this kind of photography was me just chasing the technical end of this, looking for the best lens, the best camera body, and I just kind of lost track of what I was into. I was into just taking photos. That, and also when I was out places, I'd have a knapsack full of, camera bodies, lenses, you know, might be worth 15, 20 grand. And I was afraid to leave it in the hotel room or my truck. I thought it was going to get stolen. It just became this kind of a weird anxiety thing that had nothing to do with photography. So I kind of got out of that and got into film, believe it or not, and or just smaller pocketable digital cameras, and trying to take really cool shots with different subjects, and just the photography end of it. I might get back into it with this guy because it's cheap, fun. This was 5 or 6 grand back in the day. Now it's around 300 or 400 bucks. Whereas this guy, this is my Leica M3. This in the 60s was worth about, I don't know, 300-400 bucks with the Summicron lens. Right now, of course, I've had some work done on this guy. This guy's probably worth 4 or 5. So yeah, these guys keep going up in value, and not so much with this. So this kind of would be great for a beginner to get into something that's a pro style body, 8 frames a second. So I'm going to look at how this thing works here. I'm going to take you guys out and do some wildlife stuff. Hopefully I can find some stuff, see how this thing goes, show you what I'm doing with it, and kind of go from there. Here we are. There's the view. We're just going to head into there. We're heading west. We're in the foothills of the Rockies right now. Sunny, gorgeous day. Not a lot of snow this year so far. In here, about a half a K, and we're going to hike in, and I'll keep you guys updated. But first, I'll show you the gear. Whit lent me his 300 f4 Nikon, so I'm using that. He's shooting the 850, which is a full frame Nikon. It's an absolute beast of a camera, and he's shooting the 500 mil. And we're going to hike in here. And like I say, these guys are about a half a K in. All right, guys, we're just approaching these 2. I can see 2 now. I think there's 3 out here, somewhere in the foothills of the Rockies. See if I can zoom in for you guys here. Dump the old beast in the snow. Oh yeah, I got him. So it's kind of hard to expose this when you're in bright white snow, and these guys are brown. Not a horse. So I'm shooting f4 at about 1250 of a second, 200 ISO. That's a big stallion right there. What are you shooting yours at, buddy?
1000.
Right on.
5.6 and 320 ISO.
And that's on the big beastly 500.
The 500.
And how many megapixels is that thing?
46.
46 megapixels, full frame. So you're getting full 500 out of that because it is full frame, where I'm shooting a crop sensor, which is a 1.5 crop sensor. So my 300 gives me about 450. So we're close to the same range, although I'm only 4 megapixels. Not much snow on the ground here. Yeah, we're just getting a little close. We're about 50 yards. And whoa, he's kind of peeking at us here. That's a big horse, man. What does that thing weigh? A couple thousand? There he is. Okay, we're on the side of a hill here, guys. So I don't have any bear spray with me. The bears are sleeping. Grizz, I usually carry that stuff even for cougars. But to be honest with you, this thing here, if I start swinging this thing around, man, I think it's be more effective on a cougar than bear spray. I don't know how many pounds this thing is, but it's a weapon. Are you chimping down there? Yep. Right on, buddy. Few non-camera folks, chimping means when you're looking back on the screen at the photos you took. That's chimping. What just mentioned to me, which is kind of cool, obviously we had that wicked couple weeks, 3 weeks of wicked cold, and that's hard on everything, of course. And but that was pretty early on in the season. As you can see, these guys are fat and healthy for sure. You come in here in March, April, and it's a different deal, especially in a hard winter. These things are just skin and bone. I think I mentioned this in the last time I was out here with Whit. See the size of this pile? What happens here, the males dump on each other's dump until you get this thing. This one's a couple feet high, but they'll get really big, and if you hit one of these, if you're off-road or whatever, and it's minus 20 out, it's like hitting a tree stump. That's what that is. guys, here we are, and I put an ND filter on this. Hopefully you can hear me. Just to dim the light here so I can get a slow shutter speed. Here's the cheesy lens, there's the ND filter, and it's a variable. So you put this on, you can adjust how much light's coming in so you can get a really slow shutter speed. So this never freezes up, of course. It's spring water, so you can drink it. See how this camera works out. But yeah, it's pretty beautiful in here. We just saw an eagle fly by. Look how clean that is. You really should have a foreground subject always when shooting landscape. In this case, a beer. So I planted one here. Man, oh man, two great gray owls. So we're down here, we're going to do some birds in flight with this unit. I've done a lot of birds in flight stuff, mostly with birds of prey though. Today we just got ducks, so ducks are going to have to do. We'll see what this thing can do, and it should just nail these ducks, no problem. And it's a cold one today. But you can see we're kind of socked in here, so landscape photography is not happening. And do some landscape stuff, but it just kind of got socked in here, and it's cloudy, it's foggy, it's snowing, so you don't really even see that we're in the mountains, but we're right in the mountains here. So if you guys are into landscape photography, and a lot of times you'll just have your phone and you'll stick your phone up, you'll see something in the background, mountains or whatever it is, and you go, wow, that doesn't look the same as when I saw it with my own eyes. A lot of that is because the phone is a wide angle, it's like a 24 mil or more, so the background is a million miles away, even if it isn't. So 50 mil is about what your eye sees. So using a 50 mil for landscape stuff kind of gets your head around what you're actually looking at and what you're taking a photo of. So that's kind of keep that in your back pocket because that works. As far as an old beater camera, this is it for sure, but it proves you don't need the latest and greatest to get good shots. And I kind of want to just put this out there so some of you maybe will just jump onto something like this instead of going to spend 5-10 grand on something that you don't even know if you're into or not. Overall, this thing performed flawlessly. It's a great little camera. This is a D2H, again, 20-year-old beast, and it's done everything well for me. No problems as far as focus speed. It's right on the money. Frames per second is awesome. I believe it's 8 frames a second, so it'll get the ducks in flight or whatever you're doing. The only issues I really had with it are the sensor. The sensor is like somebody took a dump in it, and I'm gonna have to mop and glow that because there's dust bunnies everywhere. The white balance is screwy. Not a big deal. You can fix that in post. But overall, it's been a great camera, and you know what? I paid $80 for it. So for you guys that are just getting into photography, there's lots of deals out there. Even a D300, they're in around $300. So again, very happy with this, and it was kind of fun outing. It was great taking you guys along with me, and too bad we didn't get the landscape stuff in, but maybe next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. JMW out.